one size does not fit all when it comes to building your business strategy, when it comes to developing your marketing, your sales, when it comes to how you run your business, what works for you in terms of managing your energy, being your most productive. Hello and welcome to the Art of Value Whispering podcast. I'm your host, Melitta Campbell, business coach, value whisperer, and advocate for introverted female founders and experts who want to have an impact that matters, but all without compromising on their integrity. They want to create success on their own terms. And today, I'm going to dive into that because what does it mean to create success on your own terms? When I speak to many business owners, they know that they want to do things their way in a way that aligns with their vision, their values, and what feels comfortable. But then how do you achieve that? That's the bit that's a little bit unclear. And the Value Whispering Blueprint gives you that framework. It's 3 stages designed to really guide you in taking those steps to build a business that creates success on your own terms, but also has the impact as you imagine it. And often as you imagine it to beginning with, and then it becomes bigger as well. Once you discover what's really possible, you start to see things differently. But before we dive into that, I do want to remind you that next week we are starting Momentum Month, which is 4 weeks dedicated to you becoming your most productive self, working consistently towards your goals with the support and accountability of myself as your business coach and a small cohort of like-minded business owners. Along the way, you're going to have access to tools and courses that are going to help you not only set goals that are motivating, clear, and drive you forward, but also understanding what does it take for you to succeed? How do you perform at your best? What environment do you need? What habits and boundaries do you need to have in place in order for you to show up as your best self and feel aligned and impactful every step of the way? So this offer started out as a power hour. And then I realized that while clients would come for a power hour as a one-to-one session, they would get an amazing plan, and then very few people followed through on that plan. So I developed it into Momentum Month, where we would have that same power hour, but then we'd have a check-in point once a week for 4 weeks to help embed that plan and get it started with my feedback and support along the way as things changed and developed and as you had questions. The result was that people started to make much more progress with much more ease and with more joy. And so I've now developed that concept into a group program. So it's a small group, it's 1 month, but here's the thing. Although we start next Monday on the 27th with the kickstart, and where we're going to set in place your goals and design your plan to achieve those goals over the month, you'll also have access to those online courses and tools that are going to guide you. So if you join today, before that, you're going to give yourself a chance to already start to make progress, already learn what works for you, already step into your most productive self. So I would love for you to come and join that program. We start next Monday, but the sooner you join, the sooner you can really get started and set yourself up for extraordinary success and big breakthroughs this month. You'll find all the details at melittacampbell.com/momentum. So do go and check that out. All the details are on that page. You can join from that page directly as well. And I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Meantime, let's dive into what does it mean to achieve success on your own terms, and how can you use the Value Whispering Blueprint, the Value Whispering approach to help you achieve it. So I want to start by asking you, what does success on your own terms mean for you? How you answer this question changes everything. It will define the goals you set and how you go about achieving them. It will determine the clients you choose to work with. It will impact the business model that you develop and the offers you create, because different business models, different offers allow you to work in different ways, have different amounts of time available, and so on. The way you approach marketing and sales will change, depending on what success on your own terms means for you. And so will what you say yes to and what you say no to. So the first step is really to take that moment to decide, and feel free to pause this podcast right now and think, what does it mean to create success on your own terms? Because once you are clear about that, then you can start to create the business model, the marketing plans, everything that's going to support you in achieving that and making that happen. And this is something we talked about last week when I was talking about momentum. A key part of momentum is making sure that everything is in alignment. Because if things don't feel in alignment, if you feel you're stepping out of integrity, if you feel you're pushing yourself to work in ways that don't feel comfortable, or to say things that don't quite feel like you, then you may be able to push yourself a little bit to do these things, but you won't be able to do them consistently, at least not without burning out. Because when we go against our values, our vision, our integrity, that's a fast route to burnout. So we want to make sure that we are really clear. I want to create success on my own terms, but what does that mean for me? And once you're clear on that, what does that then mean for the way you approach your business, the people you recruit, the clients you work with, the way you build your marketing, the way you nurture and serve your clients? So, with that in mind, one size does not fit all when it comes to building your business strategy, when it comes to developing your marketing, your sales, when it comes to how you run your business, what works for you in terms of managing your energy, being your most productive. You can't do that with a cookie cutter solution and get success on your own terms. And this is where so many people get stuck. They know they want success on their own terms, but then how do you achieve that? It's hard to define what that is if you don't already have a pre-made roadmap and formula. And who has that? Who has that when they start their own business? You have lots of bits of advice. You can read books, you can follow YouTube channels, but this is where it becomes really difficult on your own, at least, to find that one way. It's much easier when you collaborate with a friend or a fellow business owner or a coach like myself, for example. It can really make all the difference. But if you don't define this, you will get stuck and you'll feel exhausted and frustrated. And that's not what I want for you in your business. So I want to introduce you to the value whispering approach to business, because following this process will help you define what success means to you, and it will guide you in making that the way you approach your business and making that a reality for you. So there are 3 stages in the value whispering blueprint. The first is to understand your true value, because if you don't understand what your true value is, then there's no way you're going to be able to communicate and market that to other people clearly, elegantly, and with confidence. So it's really important that you get this step right first. Then, when you know your true value, and we'll dig into that a little bit more in a moment, once you know your true value, you can start to weave that through your sales, your marketing, your message, the way you show up. And when you do that, when you weave your value through all of your actions, all of your message, the way you show up, you don't have to shout, because people already experience you. They feel that difference. And this is where your true value becomes your strategy and differentiates you from the competition. And you may have heard my conversation with David Gomez recently, and we were talking about exactly that, how your differentiation often isn't in your product or your service, but everything around that, your approach to your business, which comes back to success on your own terms. What does that mean? And what that means isn't just a difference for you, but it's then what makes you different in the marketplace. It becomes your unique selling proposition. So this answer to your question, I mentioned it weaves through everything, but it really, really does. So you have to get this clear first. So value weaving is taking that true value and weaving it through your marketing, your sales, your message, your offers, the way you deliver your products, everything, really the experience you create for the market, for your prospects, for your clients. This is all part of that value weaving stage. Then the third stage, but it kind of stacks up alongside the other two, is self-leadership. And this is where you take responsibility for becoming the leader of your business. It's where you start to understand your success habits, how you show up and perform at your best. What is that environment and conditions and boundaries that you need? How do you become your most productive self? And a big part of that is working on your mindset. How can you make sure that you're always as confident, clear, limitless as you go forward? So, the self leadership part is consistently working alongside everything else you're doing to make sure that you don't have those moments where before you post that LinkedIn post, you're questioning, am I expert enough? Can I really say this? Isn't everyone else saying the same thing as me? All of these questions that can hold us back. When you work on your mindset, you can flow through these as well. So you may still have some of the self-doubt and negative self-talk because you're human and that is part of the human condition, but they won't hold you back. You'll know how to navigate your way through these things. And bit by bit, you'll be understanding what's a limiting belief and what is an actual barrier. You'll start to sort the fact from the fiction. So bit by bit, you're enabling yourself to achieve more and to grow. And that's why I said right at the beginning that you'll set that clear vision and be clear about the impact you want to create. But actually, in the process of building your business, you will develop not just as a business owner and the offer that you create in the marketplace, but you'll grow as a person as well. And that's when the realm of possibilities starts to expand for you and more becomes possible. So this whole process, it's really quite exciting because not only do you create a really unique offer that's going to make a difference in the world, but you grow into somebody really quite special. You grow in confidence. You start to appreciate yourself and your skills and your ability to make a meaningful difference in the world. And it's such an exciting process. I love guiding my clients through this because, as I say, it's not just about building that profitable business, but it's starting to expand the way you see yourself as the driver of positive change in the world. And that's super exciting. I always have an idea when I start working with a new client, but once we start the process, we start that collaboration, we start discussing and experimenting and growing, it's always something much better at the end than we imagined at the beginning. So I find that super exciting. So let's go through these stage by stage. So the very first stage is understanding your true value. At this point, we are doing three things. The first is to identify your true value. What I mean is it's all of your values. So, what's important for you, how you like to show up, what you do and don't do that feels right for you. What does integrity mean for you in practice? Then we also look at your education, all those certificates you've been collecting, your experience, and all the kind of regular CV type stuff. We bring all of that in and start to appreciate, well, what does that mean for how I show up and my ability to make a difference? But we also look at your wisdom. And wisdom comes most often from all the mistakes you've made, those failures, those lessons you learned the hard way. So, all of these insights and these lessons have taught you something really powerful. And not only does that give you some really interesting lessons to bring to your clients that can make a difference. And this is often where the lessons you've learned are different to what anyone else has. So you can have dozens of health coaches taking the same qualification, but what struggles have they gone through that made them want to become a health coach in the first place? I've chosen health coaches because very often there is a specific reason why health was become so important to them. And that why is very often their differentiator and gives their work a very unique perspective. So these are the perspectives that life has gifted you, this wisdom. So we're bringing together all of this, starting to rumble with that a little bit. What does that mean? What am I most excited about? Why has this made me so passionate about bringing my expertise into the marketplace? So that's your value. But then we want to give that context. So we want to look at who do you want to be serving with this experience and perspective and skills? Who is that niche, your target client, your ideal client, your avatar, whatever you want to call it? But who do you want to serve? Who do you want to create that positive impact for? And what are their needs? What are their values? What are their ambitions? What's their vision? What are they trying to achieve in their life that they're struggling with that you can help with? So you want to take some time to go into depth in both of those and then look at where's the overlap. And this is what I call your value sweet spot, where everything that's unique and different about you overlaps and can serve everything that your dream client wants to achieve, but is feeling held back by, and feeling held back by enough that they're willing to pay for a solution. So they may have lots of problems that you could help solve, but they're not big enough problems for them yet. They're not causing enough friction in their life for them to be ready to invest the time, the money, and the energy to work with you to solve it. So you really need to find that problem that they're willing to spend that time, money, and effort to solve. So that's what we're looking at. That's value sweet spot. And here's the magic thing. Once you know that value sweet spot, this is where you're going to be showing up in your zone of genius. This is a concept that Gay Hendricks talks about in his book, The Big Leap, where everybody has a zone of genius, a space where they excel, where they deliver a service or an offer or some kind of skill that they find so easy. It just flows for them. But other people find it really difficult, and therefore they really value this zone of genius. And you also have the zone of competence where you're quite good at something, but maybe you're not excelling and you don't quite get into flow in the same way. So when you look at this value sweet spot, you're naturally also finding your zone of genius. So you can stay in the flow, you can offer something really unique and special and serve people deeply in a way that no one else can. And if you start to look at, well, in my value sweet spot, this is where I can make the most difference, the biggest impact, and use that knowledge to guide everything else that you do, you're going to be making the choices that are going to help you have more impact. They're going to help you stay focused on making that impact. They're going to make sure that you stay in alignment, that you're always acting in integrity, that you are making the biggest, deepest impact that you possibly can have. And because you're differentiated, you're naturally standing out from the competition as well. So you don't have to do anything wild and crazy with your marketing and your sales and your messaging when you're in this value sweet spot, because you're naturally standing out as the obvious choice for your dream clients. So it takes a bit of time to find this, but once you have it, it guides everything else in your business. And it means that you have more time, energy, focus, you have the right offer, messaging, marketing, sales process, and what is right for you to do becomes much more obvious as well. So it all starts with finding this true value sweet spot. And once you have that, finding an offer that is going to serve your clients deeply, that you can deliver in a unique way that's differentiated in the marketplace becomes much, much easier. And likewise, your message is going to flow because you're already seeing that overlap. What is the message that only you can bring to your client that's going to resonate with them deeply to help them see you as their obvious choice? And you can make that connection and build that relationship relatively quickly without having to be loud or pushy or use these flashy, fancy tactics that are a bit fiddly and frustrating and can drain you. It's all going to be unique to you and that experience and relationship you're building with your clients. Same with your marketing. You're not going to be trying to do the same as everyone else because you're going to know what's going to make the difference. What is going to attract those right people and help them take that next step? This also helps reduce comparisonitis because you start to gain this appreciation of, well, this is the space and how I can make the difference that I want to have. And so you'll start to appreciate everyone else has their own sweet spot. And so they're doing that things their way because that's how they can make the biggest difference. But it doesn't mean that's your way. Again, as I said at the beginning, these cookie cutter strategies and tactics just aren't designed for you by definition. They're not bespoke to you, whereas using a value sweet spot to create everything will really help. And because you're doing something that's unique to you, that plays to your strengths, that plays to your personality, that plays to the way you like to show up and make a difference and has that impact for your clients, that's going to make you feel so much more confident, so much more at ease in the work that you're doing. So already that's going to reduce some of the negative self-talk that you have and this self-doubt, which can be crippling for many business owners. Let's be honest about this. So when you can reduce that, it can make a huge impact in your ability to move forward. So when you have all those foundations in place, you can then start to spend a bit more time figuring out what is it that helps you show up as your best self more often. What is it that gives you energy? What times of day make sense for you to work? Where makes sense for you to work? What kind of goal setting and accountability and support systems work best for you and your personality and your time of life and your availability and all of these things? So once you understand that true value, weave that in and work on your habits and behaviors, it all starts to work together beautifully to create just something magical in the marketplace. So I wanted to share that with you because, as I said at the beginning, I hear so often people trying to create success on their own terms, but then that's not defined clearly enough for them to actually make that happen. And there are too many variables. And when you're trying to do too many things, juggle too many ideas, experiment, learn too much, it's overwhelming and frustrating. And nothing quite works together and builds that momentum that you need to succeed. So I would love to guide you through this process through my Value Whispering Blueprint. You can find more about that at valuewhispering.com. And we can have a discussion about that. I'd love to learn more about your business and see how this could be working with you. And we'll already start to experiment a little bit and identify what's missing for you, what you can plug into that, what you could perhaps already go and do for yourself, and where it makes sense for us to work together to help you get there smoother and faster with better results and more fun along the way as well. And if you're not ready for the full program, come and join me in Momentum Month. It really kicks out this whole process. Those first two parts of the Value Whispering Blueprint, finding your true value and assessing your niche and really going deep enough into that understanding about your niche, your dream clients, so that you can find that overlap. That will already help you create messages, marketing offers that will really resonate with your dream clients and already start to bring more of them into your world, into your business. So you'll get that beginning part of the blueprint process. Plus, you will have the kickstart session for around 90 minutes. We're going to deep dive and help you create well-formed goals and a plan that you're going to follow through on the next 4 weeks. And then you're going to have every support and accountability possible to help you make real progress over 4 weeks. I suspect if you're like my private clients I've guided through this process, you'll make more progress in 1 month than you did last quarter. And probably in some cases, maybe you'll make more progress in 1 month than you did the whole of the rest of the year. And here's the thing, you'll also be learning along the way with the mindset elements included and the AI tool, you'll be learning what works for you. So you won't just be building momentum that month, you'll build more momentum forever. So this is going to have a lasting impact on your business as well. And also it's going to build that confidence, that belief that you can make something extraordinary happen. And very often that's the bit that has the biggest impact. So join me in the Value Whispering Blueprint if you're ready to really dive into making your business work and making success on your own terms work by defining it and making that happen. Or take that first step and join me in Momentum Month. You'll find all the details for that at melittacampbell.com/momentum. And if you're not sure which is right for you, let's have a chat about that. If you go to either of those websites, valuewhispering.com or melittacampbell.com/momentum, you will find a button there at the bottom to book a call with me, and we'll have a half-hour chat. We'll look at where you are. We'll assess your situation. This is not a hard sales call. I'm not even sure I could do that, even if I tried. This really is a discussion to help you find your next best step. And if that happens to be us working together, I'd be delighted. But if that's not going to make sense for you, then we'll help you find the strategy and next step that does make sense for you. So I look forward to welcoming you to the Blueprint or the Momentum Month. And I also look forward to seeing you again next week here on the podcast when I'll be speaking with Nathalie Dormieux, who was the genius mastermind, together with her husband, behind Valora, the AI coaching tool that you may have tried out for yourself during the recent Brilliant Business Book Festival that we ran here on the show over the summer. Meantime, I've been Melitta Campbell, your business coach and value whisperer, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye.